Rian stood at the edge of the forward base and watched the sky pulse with violet storms that shimmered between the clouds. The world of Lathra always breathed with color and strange light that made every tree gleam like tempered metal. He had been assigned to the diplomatic escort after a long cycle on the frontier, where every mission felt like a gamble for survival. The command believed that bringing one human soldier to represent the resilience of his species would send the right signal to the ruling court of the Lathran Empire. Rian did not know how to feel about being used as a symbol, but he accepted the order because duty shaped his life more tightly than any other force. The Lathrans were tall, lithe, and radiant in a way that felt almost unreal to human eyes. Their skin glowed faintly, like soft crystal under moving light, and their eyes carried shifting rings that brightened when emotion rose. At the head of their empire stood Queen Leora, a figure spoken of with respect even among human officers who had never met her. She commanded influence not only through authority, but through an innate energy sensitivity that allowed her to sense the mood of crowds and the intentions of diplomats. Rumor declared that she could feel the vibration of truth itself. Rian did not believe such claims until the day he met her. The welcome hall inside the royal citadel shimmered with layered arches forged from living mineral vines. Each arch carried bands of blue fire that moved like the slow tide of the sea. Rian walked with steady discipline as Lathra guards opened the path toward their queen. He had practiced this walk many times, yet the real moment pressed heavier than any rehearsal. Queen Leora stood at the center of the chamber with a presence that made the very air hum. Her form held both elegance and strength, with calm eyes that shifted between silver and deep indigo. When Rian approached, she tilted her head slightly, as though listening to something beyond hearing. Her voice drifted across the hall in tones that felt like layered chords. She greeted him with diplomacy and warmth, acknowledging the alliance their peoples sought to strengthen. Rian bowed with practiced formality, feeling her gaze examine him with an intensity he had not prepared for. Was as if she perceived the rhythm of his heartbeat and the patterns of his thoughts. He stayed focused and answered every question with clarity. First few days passed with steady exchanges between diplomats. Rian stood guard near the queen during each session and remained alert at all times. He studied the movement of other Lathran figures who served as ministers, scholars, and protectors. He admired how the royal court operated with graceful precision, though alien in form and custom. They showed a kind of honor that mirrored the strongest ideals of humanity. Queen Leora often engaged him directly, asking simple questions about human history and human values. Rian answered politely, though each conversation left him feeling oddly exposed, as though she sensed echoes of truths he had not spoken aloud. On the sixth day of negotiations, an unexpected tremor rippled deep under the citadel. Lathra rested on fault lines, woven with unstable energy channels that occasionally surged with disruptive force. When the tremor struck, Rian reacted before any protocol officer could speak. He moved toward the queen instantly, guiding her away from cracking stone pillars. As a shockwave of violet static burst upward, the air pulsed violently, and luminous dust cascaded around them. Queen Leora turned toward him, prepared to activate a shield of her own. But the surge struck too quickly. Rian reached her and wrapped an arm around her to protect her from falling fragments of mineral vines. Eye blinding pulse erupted as the unstable energy from the ground surged through the hall. Rian felt his nerves ignite as the Lathran energy field interacted with human physiology in an unpredictable fusion. Light swallowed everything. When the glare faded, silence settled like a heavy cloak over the chamber. The ministers rushed forward, and healers followed with glowing tools that hummed softly. Rian stood dazed but unharmed, while Queen Leora rose slowly with her eyes shining brighter than before. Her hand hovered near her chest as if sensing a new pulse within herself. The healers exchanged astonished looks as their instruments detected patterns no Latheran had ever shown after an energy surge. A new resonance formed inside her, harmonic and growing. As though her life force now carried an expanding core, the room fell still. A minister whispered that the queen carried an expectant resonance, a phenomenon known only to arise when a future heir had begun forming within her. Yet Latheran heirs did not arise through physical union. Their lineage grew from an ancient symbiotic energy bond with a chosen partner whose life force aligned perfectly with the queen at a critical moment. Such alignment had never occurred between a Latheran and an off-world species. Queen Leora turned toward Rian with eyes wide in disbelief. Rian felt confusion rise as dozens of officials stared at him with shock, awe, and uncertainty. He spoke with steady control, insisting he had done nothing but shield her from falling debris. Yet the court understood that the unpredictable surge had reacted to his life force and hers at the same instant. Ancient bond had ignited within hours. The entire citadel knew what had happened. Some viewed Rian with admiration, believing the events signaled a cosmic unity between species. Others feared it, wondering whether a human should stand connected to the Empire's next heir. Rian felt the weight of their gazes. Yet he stayed grounded in the discipline that had carried him through every battle. It was Queen Leora who approached him privately. To speak first, she invited him to a secluded chamber filled with soft crystalline light where luminous plants grew. Along calm water pools, the air hummed gently as though carrying a living heartbeat. She studied him with a gaze that held neither blame nor fear. Her voice carried steady calm as she explained the nature of the bond. The expectant resonance was forming inside her, growing with each passing hour. Though not dangerous, it tied her future heir to the energy of the human who had shared that moment of alignment. That human was Rian. Rian processed the truth with measured thought before responding. He assured her that he sought no claim to power, and that his only intention had been to protect her. Queen Leora nodded, acknowledging that intention. She explained that the bond did not grant ruling authority to him, but it did link him to the heir as a guardian figure by ancient tradition. The court would expect him to remain near the queen through the process of formation, at least until the resonance stabilized. Rian accepted without hesitation. His honor demanded nothing less. As the cycles passed, Rian accompanied the queen across the citadel as she continued diplomatic work. The resonance within her grew with elegant rhythm, shaping a luminous core that shimmered beneath her skin like distant starlight. He often stood beside her during council meetings where ministers debated the political implications of the event. Some feared that rival factions would misinterpret the bond as an attempt to blend royal bloodlines with an off-world warrior. Others argued that such unity could forge the strongest alliance the Empire had ever known. Through it all, Queen Leora maintained calm leadership, and Rian supported her without seeking attention. The bond radiated subtle effects. Rian sometimes sensed faint pulses of emotion echoing from the queen. As though her energy brushed lightly against his own, he ignored nothing and respected every boundary. When she felt fatigue from the growing resonance, he offered silent assistance by adjusting schedules or redirecting attention from demanding ministers. When she felt uncertain, he stood as a steady presence who asked for nothing and simply endured with resolve. Human endurance astonished many Latherans, who began to see why humans had gained a reputation as Deathworlders. Rian endured storms, security threats, and endless court tensions with unwavering focus one evening. The queen invited him to a private overlook atop a mineral tower that shimmered with shifting blue light. The horizon glowed with drifting auroras. She spoke openly about her fears of failing, the expectations placed upon her. She wondered whether the heir would face conflict due to the bond between species. Rian responded with quiet certainty. He told her that lineage did not define greatness, and that the will to protect and the courage to rise shaped every being. She listened with calm gratitude, as a faint smile softened her expression in time. The court's tension eased as the resonance stabilized. Healers confirmed that the forming air held a balanced and strong signature. They marveled at how well the human and Latheran energies wove together. The empire began adjusting to the idea of a future ruler who carried echoes from two different civilizations. Some viewed it as the dawn of a new era, the final ceremony to acknowledge the expectant heir. Arrived. The great hall filled with radiant banners woven from living light. Queen Leora stepped forward with regal calm, the luminous resonance glowing faintly within her. Rian stood beside her, not as a ruler or political symbol, but as the guardian figure whom tradition honored. As the court bowed, a wave of unity swept through the hall. It marked the beginning of a future shaped by two species once separated by distance and misunderstanding. Rian felt the weight of the moment settle on his shoulders, yet he carried it without fear. Queen Leora met his gaze and nodded with unspoken gratitude. He had protected her without thought for gain, and fate had woven their energies into a bond neither could have predicted. Now they faced a shared future, built not from accident, but from choice and resolve.